I did the reading, I watched the episodes. Here's what I found. Why does the farming life anime feel like a completely different story than the manga? I went through both side by side, and the differences are way more dramatic than you'd expect, and I'm going to be upfront about what comes from credible sources, what comes from the fan community, and what's purely my own take. If I get something wrong, the comments are open. The anime and manga are not just telling the same story at different speeds. In several places, they are telling noticeably different versions of the same events, and those differences start from the very first episode. Take the big tree. The anime Hiraku sees it, and it becomes a clear visual landmark, the thing the village is literally named after. In the manga, Chapter 2 just mentions that there is a tree with a diameter of about 10 meters. No real attention is drawn to it. The anime turned that detail into something meaningful. The manga treats it as background for now. The god statues are another example. Hiraku makes them near the end of Chapter 3 in the manga. In the anime, that moment arrives in Episode 2 around the 4-minute mark. Same event, placed differently, carrying different weight in each version. The Inferno Wolves stood out to me as one of the more interesting creative choices the anime made. In Episode 1, the male wolf gets protective and actively tries to shield his partner, and I personally thought that was a strong detail. Gave the wolves a relationship dynamic that made them feel like more than just obstacles. In Chapter 4 of the manga, the male wolf is just confused about what is going on. Neither version is wrong, but the anime added something there that the manga did not have. In Chapter 5 of the manga, Hiraku spends real time questioning why the wolves have horns and playing with them. It is a wholesome moment. In the anime at the 5-minute 20 mark, that same interaction gets reduced to a few seconds of them wanting to play before the show moves on. The warmth is still there, but it passes before you have had a chance to sit with it. The biggest structural shift between the two versions involves Rurushi, Hiraku's first wife. The manga Chapter 8 is the first time she actually appears. The anime teases her at the very end of Episode 1, placing her arrival much earlier and building anticipation in a way the manga does not. And then Episode 2 does something the manga had not done at all by that point. Around the 17-minute and 57-second mark, Hiraku asks Ru to stay with him. Ru misreads this as a marriage proposal and agrees, only to find out he just wanted company. And that changed when Hiraku decided to make it an actual proposal after all. That entire exchange is anime original. It did not happen in the manga at that stage of the story. Whether that is a good creative addition or a shortcut around slower character building is a matter of personal opinion. My own view is that it works for what 12 episodes needed to do, but it does skip over a more gradual version of the same relationship. By Episode 3, the differences stack up even more. Tia, the angel, arrives, and the anime has her discover that Ru and Hiraku are already married. That interaction does not happen in the manga. At the 9-minute 42-second mark in the anime, Ru gently comments that her body cannot handle everything alone, played as a soft, slightly shy moment. In the manga, Chapter 11 handles this completely differently. Ru actually tricks Ti into spending adult time with Hiraku because of the same situation. The manga version is funnier, more direct, and significantly more adult in tone. The anime rewrote that entire beat to keep things in wholesome territory. Chapter 10 of the manga has a quiet moment where Hiraku shows genuine sadness as the spiders leave. That same moment appears in Episode 3, around the 12-minute mark, and in the anime he shows no emotion about them leaving at all. That is a small change, but it says something about how differently the two versions treat Hiraku's inner life. The strawberry scene is another clean example. In the anime at the 10-minute 26-second mark, Tia wants more strawberries, but Hiraku is too stretched across the harvest to keep up, causing Tia to go out or recruit the high elves to help with the farm so she can have more strawberries. In the manga, Chapter 12, Tia and Ru are having an actual conversation about needing to find more partners for Hiraku, and that conversation is what leads Tia to go out and recruit the elves for Hiraku to spend time with, and giving them both a break. In anime Episode 3, around the 18-minute 35-second mark, the high elf raises two concerns about their situation, one practical, one deeply personal. She wants to settle down and have offspring. Hiraku dodges it entirely. But Chapter 12 shows that the reasons the high elves came to the village was because Tia had promised that he would help with their offspring problem, which he is forced into. But I already knew from Chapter 9 of the manga, it's completely undeniable, this series is written for adults. Ru is far more revealing in that Chapter 9. That's where I knew for certain the manga and anime are telling fundamentally different versions of this story. The anime softens that moment. The manga leans into it. The clearest evidence of how much the anime restructured the timeline comes down to the household's expansion. By the point in the manga that roughly corresponds to the end of Season 1 for the anime, Hiraku already has two offspring. The anime rearranged enough of the story that Rue is the only one bearing offspring during Season 1. Reading through to that point made it obvious. The anime made a deliberate decision to keep the focus on Hiraku and Rue as a central pairing and pull back from the full scope of the household. Showing multiple wives and progeny across that many relationships would have read very differently to a general broadcast audience. And in the anime, Hiraku consistently avoids adult moments with anyone other than Rue. That felt intentional to me rather than accidental. The anime is the safe version of this story, and it committed to that fully. These are just a few of 50 plus that I found, but if I went on and gave more, the video would be 1 hour or more. Now, compared side by side, these two versions feel like different stories built from the same starting point. The pacing in the anime is fast, really only giving enough time for introductions before moving on. Individual moments do not get room to breathe. A harvest becomes a montage. A new character arrives and gets just enough screen time to establish her personality before the show moves on. The sense of time passing, of seasons turning, of the village genuinely growing that is hard to feel when the episodes are moving that fast. The manga earns its laid-back title in the most literal possible way. What I noticed immediately was how much room each moment gets. A scene breathes. Something lands. You are not being moved along before you have had a chance to sit with what just happened. There is a rhythm to it that builds a genuine sense of time passing at Great Tree Village, something the anime simply cannot manufacture in 12 episodes. The anime tells you the village is growing. The manga makes you feel it. On the visual side, this is purely my own take. Zero G brought a soft, warm color palette to the anime that genuinely suits the material, and the character designs follow Yasumo's original light novel illustrations, confirmed by Anime News Network. Great Tree Village looks like somewhere you would want to spend time. The animation is functional rather than exceptional, but for a series where almost nothing physically demanding happens on screen, that is completely fine. You will not watch this for its animation. What you get is warm, coherent, and it does the job. Yasuyuki Tsurugi's black and white manga pages work differently. The line work carries more emotional weight than I expected. Character expressions are readable at a glance, which matters enormously in a series where so much of the story lives in small personal moments. And there is something black and white panels give you that color animation cannot control over how fast you move through a scene. A wide, quiet panel tells you to slow down. The manga is not just more content, it is a different experience of the same world. Now, my actual recommendation, just honest opinion. Watch the anime if you want to know whether this series is for you without putting in much time. 12 episodes, warm and relaxed, easy to watch while eating or just unwinding. The tone is right, the pacing suits a casual viewing session, and it does exactly what a good entry point should do. Read the manga if the anime connected with you and you want more depth, more character development, more of the humor the anime could not include, and a much fuller version of what this series actually is. But adult jokes, farming, and city building interest you, the manga is absolutely worth your time. 16 volumes as of March 2026, still ongoing, confirmed by Anime News Network. My personal ratings, and I am giving these in buns because this is a farming series, and that felt right. The manga gets 4 buns out of 5. The anime gets 2 buns out of 5. And that gap exists not because the anime is bad, but because the manga is genuinely funnier, more detailed, and more honest about what this series is. Compared side by side, they almost feel like 2 different stories built from the same soil. Season 1 opens a door. The manga is every room behind it, and a few rooms the anime did not even know were there. Season 2 is now airing as of April 6, 2026. Confirmed by Anime News Network, so there has never been a better time to get caught up on everything Season 1 started. If something in this video missed the mark, drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know. One question before you go. Did you start with the anime or the manga, and which one do you prefer? There is no wrong answer, and I am genuinely curious where most people here began. If this was useful, subscribe. One video a week, always on series worth your time. Thanks for watching.